Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for The Walking Dead Dead City Season 1, Episode 2. Who's feeling hungry after watching this episode?
Yeah, you want some pigeon dinner?
In between pitch and dinner, I was in the middle of eating an egg sandwich when Negan decided to do his whole knock knock routine to everybody out there. I'm not that squeamish when it comes to this sort of stuff, thankfully, but I hope for all of you guys' sake you were not eating an egg sandwich when that happened.
I'm not squeamish with that stuff at all. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm a former funeral director, so like I've seen some stuff. So yeah, that stuff doesn't make me squeamish, but what made me a little bit squeamish was the idea that we're seeing Negan come back. And I don't mean that he's full back, but like the Negan that we first met, that guy who would taunt people with, it was he was back in that moment. And we all know why, and we'll get more into it.
Yeah.
But that made me very on edge. Maggie around the corner being like, "Oh no." I was like, "Yeah, I'm there with you, man."
We're gonna introduce in here a new concept of the gradients of Negan. There's a half Negan. I'm gonna classify this as a half Negan in this episode. And then there's the full Negan. Listen, you never go full Negan. There's not anything good that comes out of that other than just like brutality and sadness and people doing really terrible impressions, which I am proud to say I am going to retire my impersonation of Negan because it is that bad. I am afraid we will lose subscribers
Oh dear.
if I continue to do it. But before we dive into everything here in episode 2, check out our Patreon because we have a link in the description below to that. In that video over there, we talk about the big question of where is Annie? What is going on with this major loose end from the Walking Dead series finale? Jeffrey Dean Morgan has spoken out about this. We tell you in that video what he said and also what we think is going to happen from there.
Absolutely. And thank you to all our patrons that are over there supporting us. We really appreciate it. We couldn't do this without you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Now, of course, there are a number of other things to talk about in this video, but we have already set up the concept here of full Negan versus half Negan in this moment that we need to talk about.
I mean, I understand why Negan decided that he needed to sort of bring out the old Negan because he knows that when he's in that mode, it works. It terrifies people. It sends a message. And the biggest thing I think Negan wanted to do is send a message to the Croat that he is there. He is looking for him, that if he can't necessarily get to him, that maybe he can do sort of like a dog whistle call to him to be like, hey, I'm over here. This is what I'm doing. And I'm just as crazy as you remember. I think he wants that very specific message that Negan is still ruthless, because if he met the Negan the way Negan is now, I think the crowd would be like, oh, this is nothing. This is such a nothing burger. I'll just be able to take care of him. No problem. He cares too much.
I think there's a lot going on in this moment. And I think a lot of it is what you've mentioned, that, this is all a tie to Negan's past, the Croat's past, making sure he presents the most dangerous version of his persona. And there's also this other part of it that I was thinking a lot about. And, for those of you who don't know, which is pretty much everybody, 'cause for good reason, I don't talk about this enough on the channel. I am a one-time intramural basketball player at college. And here's the thing. I'm not a great basketball player, but you know what I'm great at? Emotional disturbance. So what I do is if I block somebody's shot, I give them the full no to Kimbe Matumbo finger wag afterwards because I want to get in their head. I want to psych them out a little bit. And
you're the Negan of basketball.
I am the Negan of basketball. Once again, only the half Negan. I'm not pulling out Lucille, but ultimately he is doing a bit of valuable taunting here because, he doesn't have a lot of resources on his side, right? It is him, it is Maggie. If he can do anything to sort of unnerve these other people, and I think there's nothing quite like a rainstorm of various parts of the human body just raining down from the sky.
Of your friend.
that's gonna freak you out. And that's gonna maybe be like, you know what? Maybe we have the numbers, but do I really want to deal with this crazy person? No, he's up there Matumbo finger wagging all over me, and this is too much for me. I'm just gonna walk away.
And that's the thing is, the Croat is also crazy. So I think Negan knew he had to be as big and theatrical as he possibly could be to let those people know that while you're afraid of Croat, you should also be afraid of me. And because it really is sort of this push and pull of, are the people that are working for the Croat really going to walk away from Negan when they know they have to go back to the Croat and be like, yeah, we backed out of the room, like nothing good is gonna happen. So Negan had to be bigger than life, and he was. But man, the look on Maggie's face when she saw him being Negan again, I mean, I felt it like right here. I was like, oh, it's coming up my throat. Oh my goodness, it's just stuck there. It was so terrifying to see that again. It's been a while.
It has been a while, and on an emotional level, I feel a lot for Maggie in that moment, just because I'm not saying that Negan is her friend, but Negan is her
No.
traveling companion, if you will. Like, she needs him for this mission, and to sort of have it in your face that, oh yeah, this is a very visual reminder of what this guy did to the person I love the most. Now, selfishly, from an entertainment perspective, I'm sorry, Maggie, this is the best part of this entire episode, because this is what I'm watching The Walking Dead for. And not to be too crass here, but I want to see, nasty stuff happen. I want there to be carnage. I want there to be things that you don't see on every other show, because you need to be reminded that these are the things that these people are capable of. And
Yeah.
I think it's essential to get this out there, because if we're going to have a showdown with Negan, Maggie, and the Croat later on, it needs to be believable. We need to know that Team Negan and Maggie are on that same sort of level.
I was really glad that the show addressed the Croat and why we didn't actually see him in The Walking
Yes.
Dead, because that was a criticism that I had that was like, if this guy was so important and he was so wild that
Yeah.
even Negan couldn't take care of this situation, why have we not heard of him until now? And he explained that it's because he had basically kicked him out of the group or tried to kill him before he ran into Rick and Maggie, Glenn, all that situation. He had already had it with the Croat that
Yeah.
Negan was kind of like, yeah, I pull out the theatrics to be able to, like, keep my people in line and to be able to show them that I'm here to protect them, sort of thing. But the Croat was another something else. He was just bad to be bad, and he would do bad to anybody. And he crossed the line. Negan had his one shot, blew off his ear, missed, and now he's here.
And Maggie is just sort of like, gee, this is great. Why didn't you tell me this beforehand, now that I know exactly how big an axe the Croat has to grind with all of you? It's good to have that level of backstory.
Yeah.
It's good to understand exactly what's going on with the Croat. But I will say this. I'm not gonna sit here and advocate to be one of the Croats people. None of these people seem altogether good, but they have one good innovation. This helmet thing is pretty dope. Like, let's just be honest here. If you're gonna come up with something that's very useful in a zombie apocalypse, a helmet that you can basically be like a battering ram in, where you're just like taking out walkers, like, that's pretty smart.
No, it's really smart. I mean, everyone that's in the city has made some really interesting weapons choices using the things that are there. Okay, let's talk about some of the things. Like, I really absolutely love the first episode.
Yeah.
Here are some of the things that are now starting to unravel for me in
Okay.
this episode. We're almost 10 minutes in. So if you're with me, put on your hard
All
hat.
right.
It's unraveling. So one of the things that I really loved about The Walking Dead, the earlier seasons, is that it was a bit of a smaller cast. So I really got close and invested with everybody. By the time we were at the end, it was like the Commonwealth. There's 50,000 people here. There's all these different little societies in Hilltop and Oceanside. And there's, 30, 40 people. The cast was too big. There were too many people. I actually remember there was this one episode so long into The Walking Dead where somebody died. I was like, I don't know who this guy is. And then I like IMDb'd him. I'm like, he's been in 30 episodes. It's just the cast was too big and it started to just get like nobody mattered anymore. The thing that I loved about this show was it was very, very small, but they have changed that like this, where in this episode, we see, Maggie and Negan run into this older lady, Esther, who brings her to her group of 25 people, where I was just like, oh no. Like, I understand that Negan and Maggie need help, but like, I'm not here for this. I was here for the two of them going on a mission together that they would use their wiles to figure it out. Like, this is an unbelievable show anyways. You've got, zombies.
Yeah.
Could they not have just together with their smarts figured something out and been a two-person wrecking machine? I was here for that. I don't care about these people at all. There's not enough episodes for this to get deep into it. Like, even when Esther died, I was just like, why are we spending so much time on this? We met her for a second.
Yeah.
This other guy's like on top of her. I think his name is Thomas, like crying, upset. Later, he's still upset. I'm like, can we just kind of get back to what the mission is? There's only 4 episodes left.
This is the thing with it. If you're sort of putting this Esther character in and she's in for like a couple of minutes or whatever, and you're seeing a bit and piece of her group, then it's like, okay, this is clearly just sort of a passerby thing where we're not going to really be seeing that much more of them. It's fine that they're there, but we spend enough time with them that they make us sort of think that they're important, when in reality, I think to a lot of us as viewers, they're not that important. Here's the other problem with all of this.
They're going to be a bunch of red shirts. That's why they're there, because they're not going to kill Negan and they're not going to kill Maggie, but they will kill this whole group.
There was only 38 minutes in this episode. Like, take out
short.
commercials, everything. This is a really short episode for a show that already is really, really short. And if you're going to tell 38-minute episodes, you really have to hone in on the main characters, I think, even more than you already do. Because, like, really, we've sort of been set up as, okay, there are 5 major characters that are in Dead City. You've got Negan, Maggie, Armstrong, Croat, Jenny. Like, those 5 have sort of been the core of this show. We spent more time with Esther in this episode than Armstrong, Croat, or Jenny. So basically, random characters are now more important than supporting characters. I would rather, if you guys aren't going to give me all Negan, all Maggie all the time, which is really just what I selfishly want anyway.
It's only 6 episodes. Yeah. Like, you can't give us that?
At least spend that extra time then on some other characters. Like, give us a little bit more of like Armstrong stumbling around or whatever else is going. Give us a better sense of why he is so determined to do what he is when it comes to Negan.
Yeah, or even just more of how the city works. Like, watching Esther go across like she's in BioShock Infinite was like amazing, and that was the only good part of the game. I'll just say I
everybody is okay. All right. See,
listen, I'm a fan of the other BioShocks, but that BioShock was the only good part of that game. Anyways, I don't need to be on like a 50-hour escort quest.
Okay, I do want to throw this question out here. Ziplining between buildings, fun or not fun?
Not fun.
I'm going to kind of say fun. I'm going to say it looked kind of like a good time. As long as I know I'm not going to fall to my death. Like, that's the big prerequisite there.
You don't. Ziplining, no. You know what? I get it that it was neat to watch and cool and BioShock Infinite. It makes sense as a way to get around the city. Yeah. And, for me, the city is also a character in this, and the way that people are able to maneuver around the city and sort of that walkers are falling from the tops of the buildings. Like, how do you really get around all this? It's such a huge city. Okay. Yeah. We're going to get into the Jenny of it all because I talked a little bit about this in our Patreon video as well, that I think that this character should have just been Negan's kid. And because there's been enough of a time jump. I mean, Herschel's an angsty teenager at this point. Like, Negan's kid, if they're alive, would be like 6 or 5 or whatever. That if we were going to meet them at the beginning and Negan's like, listen, can you just take my kid back to, your people and keep them there? I would have had this way more believable when we inevitably have Ginny show up at the end of this and the Croat has her, because I don't feel a connection between Negan and her. And I think the biggest mistake they've made with this character is having her not talk. And it's making it very difficult for me to feel for her. We've had a tiny little bit of explanation from Negan of what happened to her,
Yeah.
but it's not enough. Like, I'm not feeling her.
It's, I think, another problem with the format of this show, where if you only have this much amount of time, you have to find a way to really make the best use of it. And Esther is not the best use of it in this episode, where if we're meant to get attached to Negan and Jenny, I think we have to spend at least a little bit more time with Negan and Jenny, and maybe do like a 5-minute flashback sequence or some. We don't need to go like full The Last of Us hour-long flashback, but like we need something more here to just get an attachment to that character, understand what Negan could be fighting for when it comes to her. And if you do that, I think it will be okay. I think it is just it is an issue in the sense of we all kind of have a sense of where this is going. And if we're wrong, like, you know, if
Oh man, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I do not want to see Ginny show up in Manhattan and actually find him there. The only way that this works is if one of the Croat's men find her while she's out on the run, and they're like, oh, we happen to know that you are with Negan. And I don't know how they would know, because she doesn't talk. It's just, they have to really convince me that she is there for a reason.
The best thing that I think really any show can do, at least for us here at the channel, is have us disagree on something, because that means you guys are opening up a flood of different possibilities. And, you know, it allows us obviously to mix things up too more, but it's like, I totally agree with you, because it's just the default option. Like, it is the thing that they've set up. And I think you guys are going to have to make us earn the ability to think that you're going to do something different, as frustrating as that is to say.
I think it's just, they made some of the right decisions going and showing us how Ginny is doing back at the town.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, oh, here she is. She's in class. Here she is sitting in this room. And now all of a sudden she's leaving. I'm just like, for why? Why is this happening? What you are doing? Why are you leaving? Like, are you going to try to find Negan? You know that he's in Manhattan. How are you ever going to find him? Like, none of this is explained in a way that's actually working for me, that I really understand why she's just like, this is so, I feel insecure, I feel unprotected, or I just need Negan. Like, what is it? They needed to make her talk.
Yeah, I think it would have been better off overall. Here's the biggest thing I want more of, just beyond obviously character development and more time per episode. I want more post-apocalyptic cityscapes, because the stuff
right?
they gave us was really, really cool. And I think the other thing is, this has just been the year of post-apocalyptic cityscapes for me, as silly as that is. It's like, okay, I've watched The Last of Us. I've played Stray, very good post-apocalyptic cityscape.
Silo. Oh
like,
my goodness. If you guys aren't watching that show, it is so good.
Like, I am all about this stuff. I am all about world building. I'm all about exploration. And I just think Manhattan is such a big place, and it's so densely populated. Like, you guys have really just scratched the absolute surface of this. And yeah, we've sort of gotten a sense of like some of the hierarchy here, but if we get a season 2, and I think we're probably going to, it's going to be a situation where you have an opportunity to expand things outward. You have a chance to create more interesting characters, give us a bigger feel for what is really going to be going on here long term, because we've been introduced to something cool here. And if it's just like we're in, we find her, so we're out, then it's just kind of like, all right, well, this is all over pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier in the video, the city is a character to me. The way that people are getting around, you know, BioShock is going across on the ropes and everything. I mean, zip lining everywhere. It's really cool. And it is very different. Even watching the group have a setup in their building, and then it's like, oh, the people are here, quickly pick up all the plants, everybody's running. I was like, wow, they were able to like vacate so fast.
Come on, guys, give us more of the city. We believe in you. You can do this. You have 4 episodes left. Hopefully AMC just gave you enough money that you can just like dump it all over the rest of New York over the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that this is terrible to say, but that we're gonna lose this group of people that Negan and Maggie are with, because as much as this is about, getting Herschel back, it's also about these two working through their what. Like
Yeah.
they did have this moment at the end of Walking Dead where he was like, I'm actually truly sorry. I know what you felt now. And Meg is just like, I can't ever forgive you, but we're gonna move forward, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that moving forward.
Let's see if it happens. You've got 2 great characters here.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it. But that's everything we got on episode 2 of Dead City. But like we said early on, we have a video at our Patreon discussing the "Where is Annie" question, what
Yep.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan has said all about that. So check that out in the link below. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our patrons
Thank
for your
you.
support, and we will see you here next time.